Hello, Chicago Bears Nation, and thank you for joining us after an obviously exciting draft, maybe the most exciting we've seen in our lifetimes. And thanks for joining the Monsters of the Midhouse with Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm here with my man Trax.
What's
Not
up, everybody? How you doing? Keep it moving. So excited. I'm elated. You know why. You know what's going on. Caleb's in the building, and anybody he's going to throw to and anybody that's going to help block for him. I mean, there's another guy in the building we'll talk about in a little bit, and I think he's got a free ride, but Caleb already addressed that, but we'll get back to that. So, yeah, Brandon and I, we chopped it up Thursday, Friday, and Brandon stayed out there, and man, it was cool to have co-hosts in the building at Bridges Scoreboard, and Jim Robocop Thornton on Thursday, and then we broke up the draft, chopped it up, talked to him. He signed autographs, whatever. Had some food and some drinks. Watch pick 1 and 9 was really cool, and then 2 Friday we had Jim Ozzy Osbourne, top 100 Bear of all time, the last 104 years, over 80 something sacks, and killer guy, man. Awesome personality. It was really cool. Same thing again, too. Rinse, repeat, autographs, hanging out, having some good food, having some drinks, and just chopping it up, talking about Bears, man, like we always do. So Brandon and I, we're really excited to have a little post draft analysis with you. Go over picks 1 through the bottom. So, I mean, kicking it off, obviously at the very top, pick 1 for 1. Honestly, I was wondering, Brandon, like it was like 5 minutes into it. I'm like, come on, really? Like, why are we waiting so long? We already know what's going on here. And then it kind of got into my head just a little bit. I already still
well,
knew, but it was a little
they
weird.
they showed the phone call from Ryan Poles to Caleb,
Yeah.
and Ryan Poles actually said to Caleb, "The NFL asked me to wait at least 5 minutes to make the call." And
Really?
yeah, and Caleb Williams' response was, "I feel like I've waited about 5 months for this call." That was a cool
Yeah.
moment, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what I like about his transparency is because really, like, he puts himself in his shoes, and he's like, I'd be a little skittish too, be like, what's going on? You know what I mean? You never know until you know. So
Yeah.
that's really cool that he was transparent and chopped it up with him and told him what was going on, as far as the NFL goes. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, like right off the rip, Caleb, first round pick overall, 1-1. You already know how I feel about him. He's a playmaker. He's got a great skill set, and he perfectly links up and aligns with offensive coordinator um, Shane, and he brings a very, very exciting, impressive combination of like these like dark precision passes and even like off platform, especially off platform. You know, his agility and his fiery competitive spirit. I love his spirit. I like how he's just even right after the next pick gets drafted. Hey, talks to the staff. I got to go find him. It was really cool. Got a couple pictures in here, but we'll wait till the next pick. Yeah, well, that's when we'll break those down, right, Brandon? But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But Williams will be the starting quarterback right out the gate. He's got all the necessary tools, and this isn't just a draft pick. It's a statement. It's a statement of where we're going. You know what I mean? A potential generational talent with arm talent that he's got, creativity. I love the creativity that he's got. His leadership. I mean, right out immediately. Not verbal leadership too. Very important in my book. What do you say about this one, Brandon?
Yeah, I think we all kind of knew it was coming in. Like you said, I think they intentionally, the NFL kind of asked Poles to hold off, but we knew, and this is the start of a legacy and hopefully a dynasty, is what I truthfully believe. And like you said, Trex, Caleb is the guy. He's going to come and he's going to start week 1. And if you ask me, and I'm not saying this from, a perspective of bias because I'm a Bears fan, I think he might be the only quarterback from this draft that I'd be comfortable with starting week one. And the guy seems to, no matter what level he plays at, he seems to kind of just grab it by the horns and get a hold of it. So I think Ryan Poles has known he's going to do this for some time. And it played out so beautifully. You know what I mean? The Panthers trade, you wouldn't have expected. We had the first overall pick because of somebody. We had somebody else's first overall pick when Caleb Williams was eligible when he declared for the draft, and that couldn't have worked out better. But yeah, I'm excited. I think every Bears fan should be excited, no matter how you felt about the guy who was playing quarterback for us last. It's time to move forward. What impresses me most, man, is just his ability to keep his eyes downfield. Even when he was in structure, when he was out of structure, the guy just he continuously makes his reads and progressions while also being aware of the pocket. He's got a lot of pocket awareness, and he's a gunslinger. I mean, it looks effortless. Even while the guy's on the move, when he's throwing off his back foot, when he's throwing over his cross shoulder, it's effortless. It looks like he's throwing a baseball. It's something I haven't seen in a long time. I don't think he's comparable to many players, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Bears fan. I've liked this kid. Like I said on Adam's show, on December 21st, 2021, I sent a text to my brothers and my buddies saying, remember this guy's name. He's going to be special. Remember his name. And here we are. He's drafted the Chicago Bears. I couldn't have dreamed for this moment. And now it's here. It feels surreal. I feel like a kid on Christmas. But the reality is he is here. And it's time. It's time to start looking forward to the 2024 NFL season. And honestly, hopefully the next decade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a decade of dominance too. I give this grade something I've never seen before, an A plus, and that's my grades in school, by the way. A plus for sure. That like I said, I can't even comprehend what that grade would look like. So I'm going to give this guy an A plus. Big USC fan. I'm excited. Also, back in Oklahoma, where he took the reins over, where they were down in the dumps against Texas, big time school, and just took over. So
Showed
really
out.
cool. Looking forward to see what this kid's got, man. I mean, at the NFL level, it's so cool. It's very exciting. It's so surreal, and now he has some bona fide receivers to throw to. Whereas, I mean, even the year that he won Heisman, let's be real, he had one really good receiver, Jordan Addison. This year, not so much. You can see exactly where they basically the whole NFL put on notice what they thought about Brandon Rice's skill set. I mean, where did he go? 7th round?
I believe it was the seventh. I'm not sure which team he went to. Yeah, he was selected. He was selected late, and there's a lot of receivers in this draft, so I understand that. But even still, I think there was at least 20 receivers drafted prior to Brendan Rice. And, Brendan Rice, before he played with Caleb Williams, he wasn't the player he was last season. And I think, Caleb probably had a lot to do with that. Because, like I said, he extended plays. Yeah, that's right. Rice was taken to the Chargers. A good player. I wouldn't take Brendan Rice over any of the receivers that are going to be playing on the Chicago Bears this year. Between Keenan Allen, T.J. Moore, and Rome Odunze, and I think that was it. I'm sure Caleb would love to play with the guy he played with in college, but over Rome Odunze, even though that's his boy, I doubt it. It's not something he'll say publicly, but he got the guy he wanted, man. He got the guy he was on a flight
Yeah,
with to Detroit. He got the guy he threw some balls with. So,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, like you said, Brandon, there's no Dustin said in the chat here, there's no other grade you can give this pick. For the first time, maybe ever in my life, the Bears Ryan Poles, I should say, more importantly, did exactly what we all expected him to do, what he should have done. He didn't get cute. He wasn't smarter than anybody else in the room. He drafted the player that any other GM in that position would have drafted with that pick.
yeah. No, I agree. It's awesome. It's super cool. I'm so excited. And now with the next pick that we got, the ninth pick overall, round one, the Bears select Rome Odunze, Washington. And like we said a little bit ago, he goes out, he goes out right away and he finds his guy he's looking for him, and they're already just having a good old time. They got the claws out, they got the growl. I mean, they're two official Bears already right off the rip. This isn't just something that, there's no training manual. Like, these guys want to be Bears, man. Look at this, even on the flight, claws out again, They, and they got the growl again, man. It's great. Odunze, man, I'm excited. And then over here at Hallis Hall, they're walking the halls, man. Looks great, man. I'm so excited for these guys. So, I mean, Odunze, his physicality, he could play X, Y, and Z receiver, big, solid body. He wins contested catches, which is very important. Big farmer boy, work ethic. And I like his work ethic. And that's where I think he likes and strives for those contested catches. I think he wants to battle and makes him an ideal target, especially when it comes down to third downs, when it's really do or die, where it's crunch time, where it really matters, to the point where we don't even have to use our dang punter when we got this guy. He's got strong hands, and his body allows him to make these difficult catches. He doesn't have that small little frame that's, very meek and that's going to get, snapped right away. So I like how he can catch these balls in traffic. That's very important. Very important when things break down and you got to whip that ball out there, that shallow cross pass that Caleb loves to throw, and Rome goes out and gets it. Boom. Those types of things matter, man. I love his size. He also is really good at blocking. And that's important to me because sometimes you get like these guys, they just want to catch the ball. And if the ball's not in there, the ball's not in their hands, they start to get like this attitude, this diva type. And this guy wants to block. Like if he's not in the play, he'll make himself available to still be in the play and block. And that's important to me. It's very effective, and it's very important in Waldron's scheme. That matters. It has to happen. And because they rely heavily on the outside run. So you've got to have your receiver, your tight end, everybody's got to collectively, your tackles, they all got to be able to block, So very excited about this guy, very happy. What do you got to say about it, Odunze, brother?
Yeah, another A-plus pick. I think the Bears knew if he fell to the ninth spot, they were going to draft him. Keenan Allen could possibly only be a rental for 1 year, so it was important the Bears took care of that position, especially a guy who's going to grow with Caleb Williams. But like you said, Brandon, the character also kind of it screams off the charts to me. He was asked at the draft, "Why are you the best receiver in this draft?" I don't think he actually ever made that claim himself, so he looked almost a little uncomfortable to answer. But he said something that I like, which was, I think I'm just the best all around receiver in the draft. And I agree with that because he's got great press release, which I don't know is something you see from Malik Neighbors. He gets bumped at the line, but he's a big boy, like you said. He's got a big body, has no problem getting around physical corners, and he can beat you over the top, which he's not afraid of the moment. Those 50-50 balls, which Caleb will throw this year. We know that. He's going to trust his guys. Rome can get up. He can get up and get it. He can beat you. He can beat you downfield. He can beat you underneath. He can beat you basically anywhere on the field. And that's on top of the two guys he's going to learn from already. You know what I mean? He's gonna develop even more into more of a pro receiver, which is pretty scary if you think about it, because he's already, as far as I was concerned, he was a pro playing in Washington. I think he's a big part of the reason that Penix was drafted with the eighth overall pick. So, yeah, another A-plus, man. Another hit, jackpot. These guys, um, they knew this year they were going to focus on the offense, and they made it strong with the addition of Keenan Allen and Gerald Everett. But Poles figured, why stop here? You know what I mean? And he just goes out and gets a guy that's a potential number one receiver in the NFL. We know the two guys that are on the roster are number one receivers in the NFL. If the Bears, if Odunze reaches his potential, then if he plays like a ninth overall pick in the draft, the Bears have three number one receivers, and they are probably, and I'm not, again, I just try not to speak out of bias or through emotion. I truly believe this, possibly the best wide receiver core in the NFL, which as Bears fans is not something we're used to. So it's something to be excited about.
Yeah, I really like it. I like the fact that he could learn from the other receivers. I think it's important because you're not going to be able to, where he's at as a rookie, he's not going to know all the nuances of the NFL. Somebody brought up he doesn't have good yards after catch, which I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I'm not going to defend it because I don't know. But I will say this. He's got two guys in the building that do have really good yards after catch. He's going to learn a lot. He's going to learn a lot from two veterans, perennial Pro Bowl veterans that are going to
Well, so
pave the
Brent,
way.
sorry to cut you off, but for whoever regards to whoever said that his post-draft analysis says, and I quote, Odunze is smooth transitioning upfield and is an instinctive open field runner after the catch. So
Okay.
I don't think that's the general consensus that he's not a yards after catch guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he might not have been as good as Marvin Harrison, and if that's who you're comparing him to, I don't know if that's a fair comp. But I do believe
Mhm.
that he's a lot like Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, that he gets himself into open spaces. He finds the ball in places where he still has opportunity to gain yards. So I do believe he's a great receiver when it comes to, like, if you need a first down on third down, he's gonna put himself in position to catch the ball in stride and continue to move forward. I think that's something he did really well in Washington.
Yeah, I'm excited about him, and I think it's going to go great. We got over 100 in the chat. Thank
Thanks,
you guys
guys.
so much for being here. Please hit the subscribe button, uh, like, and make sure you leave a 5-star review, and hit that notification bell too. So any type of new content that we have, you can be there for it and share it with us. So. Smitty Q, what up? Thanks for showing up. Cliff, what's up? Dustin, Flat Earth Underground. How's it going, guys? So yeah, let's keep it going. I give that an A as well. So the next pick is a little tricky. Pick 40 was to Washington for Montez Sweat. So we're just gonna go that route.
Well
I
said.
mean, I
No,
mean it is.
you're not gonna get Montez Sweat in the right there. You know what I mean? You're
I'm
not.
not
So
I'm not wrong though. It was the 40th pick. We used it and we got Sweat. So moving
who's
forward, I mean, he did a pretty good job, man. I'm pretty
oh
pretty excited.
he's better than any edge player that would have been taken after 40 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we were a little worried and giving Austin a little bit of a hard time because, he looks like a swimmer if you're standing next to Sweat, most people would. Um, or a tennis player or something. Um, I mean, really, this guy is unbelievable. And he wasn't even on my radar at all. I was like, the whole time I was like, why aren't we getting the other guy? Why aren't we getting the other guy from Ohio State over at
Chase
Washington?
Young. Yeah.
That's all everybody talks about, man, is Young. And I'm just like, why are we getting him? And then everybody's like, he's injured all the time. I'm like, okay, well, I get that. It makes sense. But Sweat wasn't on my radar. But that doesn't mean that I know everything about Washington because I'm a Bear fan. I know about Bear stats. I don't know, Washington stats. So, dude, he is a freaking beast. I'm telling you right now, JJ does not get that contract. He does not have those numbers if it wasn't for Sweat. It made his job significantly better once we got that pressure. The whole team looked better as soon as Sweat got in the building. And now, what do we say? Sweat's going to teach the new guys that are coming in and get them all lined up. And we're worried about Sweat going down because if he goes down, good Lord help us, we're in trouble. So then everybody's going to get their wish. Caleb's going to have to throw for 4,000 or 5,000 yards, 800 touchdowns in a game or in a season in order to, for us to get those ungodly wins and stuff. So, I mean, he made an immediate impact on our defense, man. There are no, like Brandon said, there are no edge rushers in this draft class that even come close to this man at all.
Especially not after the 40th pick. No, no chance.
It was a dynamite move by Poles and one that will define Eberflus' defense. I mean, it's great, man. Starting edge rusher, he helped elevate our defensive line.
I mean,
It was a
yeah, I mean,
great,
can you say any more than this? The guy led the Chicago Bears in sacks, and he played on the team for half the year.
in following his trade to Chicago, we locked him up for a long-term uh, starter extension, which was huge, man. I give that an A+. It's awesome. Awesome, man. So, what do you have to say about all that?
Yeah, I think if you're looking to relation to how the picks were spent, the picks this 2024 draft picks that Ryan Poles traded to acquire talent. Keenan Allen was a great trade, but I don't know if he's going to be more impactful to the Bears' overall success than Montez Sweat, because the Bears were desperate for pass rush, and as good as their secondary was, with Stevenson and JJ and Brisker and Gordon, it doesn't work without any kind of pass rush. The To me, the NFL defense is the most cohesive unit in sports. You can have excellent edge or pass rushers, but if your secondary is not there, you're in trouble, and vice versa. If your secondary is strong, but you're not getting any pressure on the opposing quarterback, a corner can't cover a receiver forever. Doesn't matter how good Jalen Johnson is. If nobody's getting to the opposing quarterback on the Bears defense, Jalen Johnson can't cover a guy for, 10 to 15 seconds. And it was literally getting to a point where we went 2 years where I thought Eberflus's defense, I mean, there's no way this guy keeps his job if the Bears can't start to apply some pressure. So I think the Montez Sweat trade is what, honestly, I personally believe that acquisition is the reason Eberflus still has a job today. I don't think he would have if the Bears defense didn't play the way they did finishing the season last year, and I don't think they play the way they did if they didn't apply some sort of pass rush, which is what Sweat did. I agree with you, Brandon. If he's injured, you're kind of right back to square one. They're in trouble. I don't know that the pass rush is going to be anywhere near the top of the NFL. I still think you're probably somewhere, I don't know, maybe 18 to 25 in terms of sacks. And I'm looking on the positive side of things. But if Sweat can do enough to, just let those guys in the secondary do their thing, I think the Bears defense will still play at a high level. We really only need the Bears defense to be somewhere between 10 and 15. But yeah, Montez Sweat, man. I mean, when you're looking back at it, like I said, or like you said, Brandon, you had Chase Young, who's just all ceiling. He was, I think, the second overall pick in the draft out of Ohio State a few years ago. Young guy, but he couldn't stay healthy. And I think Ryan Poles did identify the one thing that Sweat has done, regardless of his sack numbers year in year out, was the guy stayed healthy. He's durable. He's a durable player. And we saw, you had Chase Young, Deron Payne, John Allen, Montez Sweat. You saw that line in Washington was tremendous. Those guys were loaded with talent. Even Chase Young, when he's healthy, played well. But without the secondary, it didn't work there in Washington. So it's kind of the opposite situation here. Without Sweat, the secondary wasn't doing its job, and you can't hold it against them because, like I said, the defense, the front seven, the rear, it's a cohesive unit. It only works two ways. It doesn't work one without the other. So it was probably the most important acquisition that Ryan Poles has made to Matt Eberflus's career, I would say.
Well, and a lot of times too, when you talk to guys like Tommy Harris, you're talking to him, and he says, the three technique is like the ignition, and the 4-3 is the engine. So, sometimes when you get that edge guy, he can let that three technique do what he needs to do. I saw Jervon get better. I saw the whole defense get better. And the thing about this is, with all that's being said, is that, make no mistake about it, Eberflus is a very good coach when it comes to defense. And those men galvanized, and they never gave up on him. So I want to say, as much as Sweat was instrumental to the Bears defense, the Bears defense was instrumental to Sweat, because he does not get these numbers in Washington without our defense. So it was equally impactful and equally important. It was a very good marriage, and I'm excited he's on board. Very, very good pickup. Dustin says forced 15 missed tackles. Ant Mass, what's up, buddy? Bear down. Cliff, how you doing, man? Dustin again, Smitty Q. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. Munoz, what up, man? Yes, awesome draft. We loved it. Dobbsy's in the building. Yep.
Yeah, and I agree with you,
So
Brandon. Montez Sweat fits this Bears defense
Greg
so
B.
perfectly. You
Yeah.
said it. You couldn't
Oh,
have said it better. Honestly, it was a perfect marriage. It really was. That kind of perennial defensive end. His size, his motor. He's
yeah.
the guy like that. Julius Peppers kind of guy. The guy you want in a 4-3. You know, the guy
Yeah.
who can beat you with hands. The guy who can beat you with speed, and the guy who can beat you with power. He does it all.
Yeah. And then next we have in round 3, pick 75, Kiran, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that man's
Yeah,
name.
let's do this. Hold on. Give me a shot. Uh, Amegadjie, I think.
I don't even
Amegadjie.
know. All I'm going to tell you right now is Adam did a great job because I'm not even going to try
Kiran.
that.
That's his name.
Yeah, Kiran, there you go. I like him. He's got the versatility to play guard. He's played multiple positions. He started out at guard, left guard for 10 games, 14 games, tackle. He's got nice blend of size and athleticism. He's got great length. He's still going to need some time to develop, though. You know, I honestly I don't watch Yale football, and I don't know how many people actually do. I mean, this is
Not
a
many.
guy for most people that are honest with us and with themselves. Yale football came on the block when we start looking at this guy's highlight reels and stuff because we heard that he was a potential draft pick. I mean, let's be honest, boys. But
You know
you
what,
know,
Utrecht?
he's
You actually turned me on. I did do my homework on him before the draft because you actually
yeah.
turned me on to him when we did the mock drafts. I
That
think
was because of Adam.
there's about 3 of them that you suggested we draft him, and after you did, I looked into him, and yeah, that's where I kind of started to learn who he is. Because you're right, Yale football was not at the top of my list.
Yeah, no, that was Adam Mason that turned me on there. Him and um, so in there, you know, YouTube and all that. So great dude. We had a good time a little bit ago. We were just on there as guests. Good time. Good job, Brandon. Good job breaking it down, man. I'm glad I was able to advocate for you to come because you killed it, bro.
No, I appreciate the
Um,
opportunity, man. It was fun.
um, like I said, developmental prospect, versatility at tackle and guard, definitely potential future starter. He's definitely going to be there in lieu of, you know, somebody going down or whatever, and he's get his chance to get in there. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he can do with the coaching staff. And I think it's very close to an A. I was a little nervous. I didn't think we were going to address it at all. And then when I heard his name, I'm like, whoa, that was actually a guy that they had on their list that they went after, that they wanted, and they got. And that was pretty freaking cool, man. So I give that as close. I'll give it like a B plus.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think it's somewhere in the B range. I don't know at the juncture that they took him. You know, the Bears had so few picks. It was important that they kind of identify the positions they needed the most. I don't know that tackle was on my list as high as it was theirs. You know, if Joe Alt was available, that was a no-brainer. But Braxton Jones is a serviceable player. But I agree with you, Trex. I think what's most important is the guys played multiple positions, and they have 2 players on their active roster that didn't complete a season last year, in Braxton Jones and Tevin Jenkins. So, you know, if either one of these guys goes down, I think they did just draft their backup plan. He's insurance. And I think while he's doing that, you know, while they have him to plug in for injuries, he will learn. And he is a big body guy. And I watched some highlights, some film, and he's really athletic, man. He gets to the second level quickly. He makes blocks, 5, 10 yards downfield. So I think he'll be a really good, if he does end up playing this season, I think he'll be a really good run blocker. I do.
Well,
He
and
reminds,
Brandon, not to cut you off, but here's the thing. I want to tell you something about that's a little telling when it comes to a guard, a center, and a tackle. Us tackles, especially like left tackle, right tackle. This guy started out at left guard for 10 games, and then he switched over to left tackle his final 14. So it's real easy transition. I mean, not super easy because it's just a little bit, the role assignment and all that, gaps, whatever. But you go from left guard to left tackle. Usually your guards are a little bit more agile, have a little bit more speed. You know what I'm trying to say? The tackles are a little bit bigger, a little bit lengthier, a little taller, and they don't have that speed. It's cool to see a guy start at guard and go to tackle and be able to come back and forth. That's super cool, especially at the left side, which is very important to me because that's where we're going to be protecting, Caleb's blind side. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, that's all right, man. I love your insight, man. You played the position, so I always like to hear it. I think he's also a swing too. I think he can move around. But like I said, man,
Yeah.
the guy, as a pole guard, he he's he's really athletic. It surprised me because he's not a small guy. He is the size
Right.
of a typical tackle in the NFL. But if with the athletic ability he has, if he played guard and yet at the NFL level, he'd probably succeed because
Mhm.
from everything I saw, he's by the time the running back's taking the handoff, he's already made his initial block and he's to the second level hitting a linebacker. That's impressive. He reminds me of Braxton Jones. He does. I think from what I saw, he looks like he's more of a run blocker than a pass blocker. And maybe that's just at the tackle position. Maybe at guard, he'll be a little bit stronger in regards to pass blocking. But I'm not upset with the fact that if one of their players like Tevin Jenkins and Braxton Jones does go down with an injury or Davis, I pray that Darnell Wright doesn't. But if one of those guys does go down, I think he is the guy you plug in.
Yeah, I do too. I agree. That's a good plug. And, here's another good plug. Round 4, pick 110 from the Chargers to New England. Wide receiver Keenan Allen. Very cool pick there, man. I like this pick. I like this pick that the Bears got. 4th round, 110 overall, traded to Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, they made a splash here because no one in the 4th round is a perennial Pro Bowl type receiver that leads the league in shallow cross. I mean, slot cross. He very good yards after catch. He's had at least 100 receptions and 1,000 receiving yards in 5 of the last 7 seasons. Again, perennial Pro Bowl receiver, great guy. He's not going to have a lot of those godly numbers as far as like tons of targets like he did with the Chargers because he was a lone wolf a lot of times. Williams was down. They had a lot of issues over there on the line with the receivers. I mean, it's ridiculous. I still watch the Chargers. I'm from California. I still watch these guys. I chime in. I talk to my buddies, back home and all that. And Keenan Allen's a real deal, man. They were happy for me. Sad when he left. They feel he's still got 2-3 years left, especially with you look at it, Brandon. You still got DJ Moore over here. You got Cole Kmet, and now you've got Odunze, and so he's not going to be wearing himself out, go on all in and going hard every damn play. You know what I'm trying to say? So again, seasoned veteran, 6,000 yard seasons to his name. He's a wide receiver 1, serving as wide receiver 2 alongside. I get 62% of the time he was in slot. So I see him as slot too. I'm excited, man. Very, very good selection with the fourth round pick, 110 overall. What do you say, Brandon?
Yeah, I don't think I could say enough to really speak to his accolades already, man. I would imagine he's a future Hall of Famer. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. He's just that reliable guy, and I don't necessarily mean in regards to health. He's just that third down, the guy that you know whoever was playing quarterback for the Chargers when they needed somebody somewhere to go with the ball. He was the guy that was worth taking a chance on, and he usually came down with it. But on top of that, and I think his California roots are even deeper rooted than the Chargers, aren't they? Didn't he go to Cal? I think he
Yeah.
played at Cal. Yeah.
Matter
So
of fact, that's he's already had a little over a year under his belt with Caleb, as friendship and whatnot, and being around. And and whatever. So that was kind of cool right off out of the gate. You know what I mean? Little telling. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
I absolutely believe there's a chemistry there already. You know, you don't need to necessarily see it on the field right away, but no, just like even like you said, Brandon, I think Rome Odunze pick gives Keenan Allen a little bit more leeway to not, you know, I think he was kind of abused, to be honest, as a Charger. But with DJ Moore, I agree with you 60% in the slot. I do think he'll play a lot in the slot. I think DJ Moore can do so as well. So if you have Keenan Allen and Odunze on the outside and Moore in the slot, it's all the same with me. I mean, it's all going to work out. But yeah,
Thank you.
another guy, man. Let's be honest. Look at where he was selected, or look at the pick that the Bears traded versus the players selected after that. None
Yeah.
of these guys are going to be. You get a Puka Nakua every once in a while, but none of these
Yeah.
guys are going to be Keenan Allen type players. He's an immediate
No.
impact for the Bears, and he's just one of those comfort pieces for a young quarterback. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's kind of insurance when you're in third down, maybe let's say third and long, third and 8, third and 7, and you need a place to go with the ball. He's a reliable source. He will create separation and quickly. So that's something Caleb Williams, I'm sure, will learn how to utilize.
And I mean, those are some skills that you really need to learn. There's just some things that if he just shuts up, listens, keeps his head down, sharpens his pencil, and listens to the elder statesman, the perennial pool veteran, the seasoned veteran that's in the wide receiver room, he's going to learn a lot and save a lot of mileage and tread on his tires just by listening to Keenan, just by listening to DJ. This freaking Odunze, the sky's the limit for this kid, man. It's great. I mean, it's kind of like Rice and Owens, all over again, But now there's two. There's two of them. I'm not that there's two Rices in the building, geez, but that there's two real, top receivers that's seasoning this kid as they go. Cliff says position for his position, blue chip, Munoz, people will have to temper wide receiver stats because 3 number ones will be difficult to spread around evenly. I agree with that. Another thing to temper is if we still have that top 5 defense in the NFL, we're going to have shorter fields. We're not going to have long 80-yard fields, So shorter fields means less yards. End of the game might be 180, 200, 3 touchdowns, low interceptions, not a lot of fumbles because we're actually looking for receivers to throw the ball to instead of just taking off, So it's really cool. And if we're winning ball games and we're not putting ourselves in position to hurt the team, then, like I said, maybe one receiver gets 30 yards, maybe one gets 20, maybe another one gets 50. It's not going to be, these balloon type, because those happen when you look at Brandon Stokely, when you look at Reggie Wayne, when you look at Marvin Harrison. The one thing that they had in common with Peyton Manning is they didn't have a damn defense. They put these little ass defensive ends in there, and they prayed to God that Peyton Manning would throw up and be like 3 or 4 touchdowns ahead of everybody in the second half. So then they could platoon and throw Feeney in there and Robert Mathis and just go full speed with these little undersized defensive ends. That's how they played. And when Bob Sanders wasn't in there, their defense went from like 32nd. When he wasn't in there, they were like 32nd rush defense. He gets in there, enter him 14, 15, 16. One guy can make a huge difference, just like Sweat does with our team. So point in case in point, okay? And like I said, you get that type of defense that the Bears have, we're not going to have those, godly numbers, Brandon, but he's going to look godly. He's going to look great, and he doesn't have to even drive the bus. He just has to make sure he don't freaking wreck the bus because our defense is going to win a lot of games for him, and that's going to be freaking awesome. And he's going to have these receivers, and I love what Munoz said. Perfectly said, Munoz. Great job, man. Shout out to you. I'm going to give a little star next year.
I do. I'm going to say this, though. Because Odunze is a rookie receiver. I don't know that his expectation was to be anywhere near 1,000 yards. Let's say he gets 700 yards. That'll be a good season. But I don't think if they stay healthy, the two of them, I don't think DJ Moore or Keenan Allen catch anything less than 1,000 yards. I think they're still both 1,000 yards receivers, even in Caleb Williams' rookie season. I really do.
Yeah, well, how did you say that again? How did you say that again, Brandon?
I think because he was talking about tempering statistics because there's just not enough.
Oh,
Not because there's too many guys for the ball to go around to. I still firmly believe that DJ Moore and Keenan Allen both have 1,000 yard seasons. I would expect because Rome's a rookie, he has a few. He's obviously going to have less targets. He'll be on the field a little less, but I expect him to have an impact as well. I would think if he had 600 to 700 yard season as a rookie, that'd be a huge year. So if Caleb Williams is projected to throw 4,000 yards, and I believe that he has more than a possibility of doing so. I still believe that they have three receivers, two of them with 1,000 yards plus, and one of them that's not going to be too far behind him.
yeah. No, I agree. And I like what Smitty said. Look at this. If you can get three receivers around or over 700 yards apiece, you'd be cooking. That's one way to temper your numbers, right, Brandon? And I don't think that he's saying that this is a bulletproof, ironclad number that you need to look at. But 1,000, let's be a little bit more realistic. If it happens, that'd be crazy. But again, I'd want to check my defense for sure, man, because that means something is lopsided. You know what I mean? So let's see. Michael, what's up, boys? Hey,
What's
man.
up, Michael?
Aren't you up late, man? You're gonna get in trouble with mom, dude.
Got school tomorrow. It's a Sunday.
He's up getting that milk out of the fridge. He's living a little, seal
What's up,
clip.
Mike?
What's up, Mike? Bear down, AC, Adam. V Dog, what is up, V Dog? Man, I ain't seen you in a minute, man. What up? Would you all target another edge in free agency? We'll get to that. I like that question. Let's put a pin in that. Man, we got a lot in the chat, dude. Oh my gosh, we got 125 in the chat, man. Hey, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like our show. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get all of our content all the time. Leave a 5-star review. You all know what to do. So, my bedtime is 2 a.m., boys. Not going anywhere anytime soon. You should be on here with us then, damn it. What the heck? Get in a phone booth. Let's go.
This might be the most exciting show I've done, Brandon. I've been dying to talk about this stuff.
I've been dying to talk about the draft. Who doesn't want to come on and talk about the draft? I'm talking to our 5 billion freaking co-hosts that we got so we can cover seven days, 50 states, Aruba and the Virgin Islands. And it's just you and I, bro, Brandon and Brandon.
And London.
Hey, guys, it doesn't matter how wasted you get. Just remember, Brandon, one of us will answer, okay? So enjoy it. What's Smitty say? 600 yards from Cole and then another 500 combined from Sweat.
I think you mean Swift.
Oh, Swift. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Valus, Tyler, etc. I don't
Receiving
know.
yards, I expect Swift to maybe get 200 to 300. He's a 40+ reception guy every year, so he'll probably finish around 300.
Says my wife is out of town. I could surf all night. That's great, man. That's great.
Well, thanks for being with us, Cliff. You had a lot of other options.
Yeah, a lot better options. Oh, man. I agree, Cliff. Not discounting that. Just hated the value of the pick. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second.
Yep,
all right, so the next pick in the draft, round 4, pick 122 from Philly, was Tory Taylor from Iowa. Dustin said it best, and I don't want to misquote Dustin because this is poetry. Where is it at? He says there's not even 2 Terrell Owens. He's got here it is. Here it is, boys. Being the only punter worth drafting is like being the only ugly girl worth kissing. Okay, so yeah, that's basically how he feels about Tory Taylor being picked in the 4th. I know I was a little disgusted. I literally thought that somebody, you know how like when you come back and you left your phone out and your boys are messing with you because you dropped the ball, you're at the pub and you left it on the table and you come back and there's a lot of weird pics and a lot of text messages and stuff. I feel like that's what happened with Poles. I can't see him drafting this punter in the 4th round. Most of the time, you're really reaching right there. Most of the time, they're either in the 7th round so that they don't go to UDFAs. You don't have to fight for it, and be the first one to go grab them. but they'll get him in like the 7th round. You know what I mean? So this right here was a reach. I thought we could have went and got an edge because at that time, edge obviously, right, Brandon, was still a necessity. Offensive line again could have been a
Center and
necessity.
edge. Yep.
Yeah, we could have even got another receiver. I mean, respectively. But center, edge, left tackle, any one of those would have did me right. The
Safety.
last thing,
Yeah.
maybe yes, safety. There is a safety that I would have really liked out there, and it the one from Iowa is already gone, obviously. But here's the deal. I did not consider this at all. Like, I was just like, what in the world? I don't care how good he is. I don't care how well he kicks. The whole point of the whole deal is that, like Caleb said in his little tweet, like, hey, man, you ain't going to have to work much with me, man. You're going to be on the bench collecting a free check, basically what he said. And, now granted, he got a lot of leg time in Iowa, boys, because they had like a number one defense in the NCAA.
Brutal.
Horrific offense. Horrific
Brutal.
offense. What's that?
Brutal. That offense was brutal to watch.
Brutal, man.
Brutal.
Yes. Yeah, it was but hey, here's the deal. It was very early. He's a star at his position, no doubt. So we've got that going for us. He can flip the field for the Bears defense with impressive leg strength, right? It's not really like, hyperbole to say that Taylor was Iowa's offense last year, right? But he averaged 48.2 yards per punt last year, setting the single season punting record and earning recognition as the Ray Guy Award, which I've never heard that before until doing a deep dive on a freaking punter. And that's pretty cool. So he's the best punter in college football, the ability to change games with his impressive leg. And it effectively ends Trenton Gill's tenure in Chicago. So, I mean, what do you got to say about this, man?
Oh boy, where do I start? It's a lot to dissect. I agree with you, man. It felt like, when you're about to pick your player in fantasy draft and your Wi-Fi disconnects and you log back in. You're like, I got a punter. Yeah, I don't. The
How
player.
many mock drafts did we do? And a punter wasn't even drafted by anybody.
And the player doesn't bother me. The player's he's a good player. He is. From everything I've read, he's a great player. The problem is the Bears didn't have 10 picks in this draft. You know what I mean? The luxury wasn't there. So you had 4 picks. You added one more, 5 picks total in the draft. Let's say that they knew they were going to get another pick, 5 picks. I don't think that if I'm going to approaching a draft with 5 picks, I don't think that punter's anywhere on my list. I don't. I will say this: Poles wanted the guy. I respect the fact that Poles wanted the guy. He thought this might be the last pick he was going to have in the draft, and he went out and got the guy he wanted. I'll say that. I respect Poles' pursuance of the players that he had on his board. I know Richard Hightower is probably happy to see it, but my issue is, and I think Adam talked about it on the show a little bit ago. If you want a punter, he's probably not going to get picked in the 4th round. Was there no ability for the Bears to trade back and maybe add some capital, trade that 4th round pick for, let's say, a 5th and a 6th, and take the punter in the 6th round? I find it hard to believe that Poles couldn't dangle that pick in the 4th round in front of somebody who wanted somebody. And then the other problem I have with this, Brandon, is we all know we were chatting back and forth. There was so much talent left on the board, you know what I mean? And they did end up getting an edge. They traded back into the draft and got an edge, but there was a lot of talent. I really like Van Pran Granger. I thought that was a guy you could draft and allow to develop on the bench. But again, and Michael, made a point earlier that maybe it's because of the new kickoff. Maybe this is a guy they intend to. I do think some punters will be doing kickoffs now that they require so much hang time during this new kickoff. But I don't get it. I don't. Poles threw a wrench in the draft. He kind of had us all flabbergasted. Like I said, I think our reaction was probably the same as Tory's himself when he was selected. He Adam told us he was making a joke with his girlfriend, who's from Winnetka, by the way, making a joke with his girlfriend, like, "Oh, what if the Bears need a punter? What if they took me in the fourth round?" And he was literally making, it was literally comical relief with the loved ones he had around him, and then the Bears gave him the call, and like you said, man, and Caleb Williams is probably making a really good point. On top of it being just a funny text, he said to him, "I don't expect to punt too much. I hope not. You know what I mean? I don't want to see this guy on the field often. You know what I mean? I the Bears
The
invested.
last play he did on his pro day, he punted the ball, and he did a pretty good job too. I mean, we could have saved
Yeah,
the Bears a
Caleb,
little
but
bit of money and just let him punt too. You know?
yeah, but the Bears invested in a position that you hope you really don't have to utilize very often, right? How many times do we? I would love to see the Bears to be the team that punted the least in the NFL next year.
Yes.
So, like, I don't know where the value is on the pick. I know that Poles liked the kid, that was clear. But
Yeah.
and Gill was bad. I think we ranked 31st, in punt last year. So Gill
Yeah.
was Trenton Gill was bad. I don't know that he's
Yeah.
necessarily a bad player. He didn't have a good season. It was probably time for him to go. The Bears saw as a necessity, but where did that necessity, with all the players you felt you needed, positions of need, where did punter fall on Poles' list? I'm curious. Was it
Yeah.
above center? Was it above
Yeah. I don't know.
edge?
I don't know.
It's hard for me to believe that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of why I like to group all the trades that we did with our draft picks, because this makes things like that a little bit more
Oh,
easier to,
so,
to
sorry,
digest.
Brent. Brent, sorry to cut you. Let me say this. After that pick, I was still watching the panel on NFL Network. I think it was NFL Network. Theo Riddick said, and I'm going to kind of, paraphrase here because I don't remember
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
He said, Ryan Poles liked this kid and thought, I don't have any more draft picks, so I'm going to have to take him here. And what does that feel like to you? That doesn't necessarily mean it's a good pick. To me, that says I have to take this player earlier than he'll be projected because I don't have any more picks. Guys, what do we call that in the business? That's a reach. It is what it is.
yeah,
You might
yeah,
be able to pitch this kid to me and say he's the best punter that will ever play in the NFL in the world. He's the best
yeah.
punter alive. It's still a reach. The pick was a reach, regardless of how you feel about it.
Yep. I like what Dobbsy said. He goes, he was a little bummed that we didn't get Rice. The wide receiver room could use a cleaning, and he's buds with Caleb. I agree. I mean, we could have did what Adam said, basically on his show. He was talking about just trading back and then getting, a couple picks. So, potentially we could have got Rice and still the punter at the same time. But we won't try to beat up this any more than that.
Yeah, let's move on from the punter.
AC Adams said, it was necessary. Literally had the worst punter. Yeah, yep, I get it. Brandon's how many Brandon's how many times does a team get a blue chip player in the fourth round? I agree. I mean, we got a blue chip player in Keenan Allen, which brings me to our round 5 pick, 144 to Buffalo. Offensive lineman Ryan Bates. I was really excited about this, boys, because a couple of years ago, we had Bates in the crosshairs. We throw out, a certain amount of money for him, and then the Bills match it. I'm like, dang, we almost had, a decent, verifiable offensive lineman who obviously come in, plug and play, bro. So, so this 5th round, 144th pick, the Bears trade the 5th round pick for the Bears to the Bills for Bates, who, and Poles previously went for him in 22. He loves him. Only 27 years old. He's appeared in already 73 games, 19 starts, and 5 seasons. 17 regular games in 23, but he didn't have any starts, and he has played just 35 offensive snaps, all coming at center. During the 2022 season, Bates started all 15 regular season games he appeared in, playing in 947 snaps, primarily at right guard, 810, and some at center for 37. So obviously, big chunk, 810. That's a lot. If you've ever played offensive line, you know repetition leads to retention, like anything in life, especially at offensive line. Very important to hold that ground, be next to your guy. It is a team within the team. It's important to keep that team, the continuity, and it doesn't mean take the left, play musical chairs, take the left tackle, put him at right tackle, left guard, right guard. That is when you are hurting. You're trying to figure things out, what looks better, all that kind of stuff. That's what's been going on with the Bears. This Bates guy, he's a versatile interior lineman. He'll compete with Coleman Shelton for the starting center job and also be depth at guard. I believe in that. I picked this up to be like a C plus, B minus type trade. What do you say about this one?
Wow. I don't like it, Brandon. I don't. I know they listen. If you list the position, the free agent offensive lineman that Ryan Poles has signed versus the players he's drafted in the offensive line, it's not
Yeah,
good. It's not good. He drafted Braxton Jones in the 5th round. Braxton Jones has been a serviceable left tackle, which is probably the toughest position to play on the line. He drafted Darnell Wright, another great player. He drafted Jatire Carter, not great, but Leatherwood, Rife, Schofield, Patrick, I mean, Davis, none of the
yeah,
names. I mean, how many of the names that I just mentioned you like blow your mind? It just hasn't been good, which is
yeah,
mind blowing because Brandon, you played offensive line. You can
yeah,
probably identify talent there. Ryan Poles
yeah,
played offensive line. Ian Cunningham played offensive line. These guys should be able to see talent at this position. And like you said, they liked Ryan Bates a couple years ago, so that's
yeah.
great. They got a guy they've been
Mhm.
looking at for a few years, but it doesn't make me feel good because Poles hasn't been able to identify talent at this position. He thinks he can find somebody sitting somewhere on somebody's bench and plug him in as a starter. But here's my biggest concern with Bates is Coleman Shelton is currently listed on the roster as the Bears starting center. So I don't even know if Bates. I think you're right. I think there's going to be a little bit of a comp when the offseason and preseason start. So you signed two centers after you released Lucas Patrick, and or I think his contract ended, but you don't know if either one of them is a quality starter on your team, and you're about to plug in a rookie quarterback. It bothers me, man. It really does. I don't like trading the 5th round pick for Ryan Bates because I think Ryan Poles, like I said, I have more trust in his ability to draft young offensive linemen than to sign veterans in free agency. I think he
Yeah.
could have found a center that he liked in the 5th round. So I don't know. Do you still sign Coleman Shelton and draft a guy in the 5th round to be behind Coleman Shelton that you like? I would have probably been happier with that. But
Bro,
Shelton,
you know what
obviously,
killed me? You know what killed me? And I know this is like you can't really you don't know what's gonna happen until it happens, right, Brandon? And a lot of people knocked Poles on this. Poles doesn't know. But as soon as we signed or traded for Bates, they released their starting center. It's like, and it's like, okay, well, we could have got him, but we went and traded our fifth for Bates. Yeah, but Bates is more of a right guard slash center. So if we're gonna, you know what I'm trying to say? If you're gonna do one, don't compare the other. It's not necessary. It's not even the same. You know what I
well,
mean?
so I have a question for you. But do you think so? They traded for Ryan Bates. Do you think that the Bears had the intention of Ryan Bates playing starting at center, and then when Coleman Shelton became available, they signed him thinking this guy's better than Bates? And if that's the case, how much stock do the Bears put into Bates?
Bro, I'll be honest with you about Bates, and this is just my experience. Okay, it's not prolific or anything. It is what it is, right? I'm just telling you, it's apples to, I mean, it's a fruit comparison. And basically this is what it is, okay? I've played around guards, and for whatever reason they got shuffled over to center. I remember one time the center had a stupid fumble and my coach lost it. Threw his clipboard, kicked some stuff. I mean, he
You had
dumped
a
our
you
water
had a
out, which
Ditkova coach. Huh?
dude, he was upset about that fumble, man. He was freaking livid. I mean, we were in the game. He dumped our freaking water out. That pissed us off. Like now we're mad at the guy a lot more about the water being dumped out than the damn fumble itself. I'm
A
like,
good message to send, right?
I don't know if he did that on purpose. I think he was just upset and he was looking for stuff to throw besides children, or students. But seriously, it was not a good it's not a good place to be. I mean, just because you're an interior lineman and you can snap a ball doesn't mean that that's your like spot. And I don't know that Bates is not going to be as good as we think he could be or whatever, but I think if he was that good at the age of 27, they would have put him at that spot and kept him there by now. I don't think he would be like a backup fill in or whatever. And I think we kind of learned our lesson with that dude from Green Bay. All right. Like, I really was excited about that. I'm like, okay, cool. This will work out. And it didn't. So, again, hey, Brandon, just because you played the position doesn't mean that you're good talent, judgment of talent. You know what I mean? So I mean, as much as I'm
point.
tough on him,
You're right. That's a good point.
as much as I'm tough on him and you are, I mean, there is a little sense of, and Adam said something earlier today, and I really didn't even think about it, but the first year was a wash. They had to like kill all kinds of cap space, dump a bunch of people, dump a bunch of players, make that team his, right? So they went out and did that. So essentially the second year is the first year. Now you're going out and you're getting people. He basically said the second year was the first year, and they dedicated it to defense. This year they're dedicating it to offense, which I think you stated 4 out of 6 picks was offense, right?
4 of the 5, yeah. 4 of the 5 picks were offense, yeah.
4 out of the 5 was offense. So everything that he says tracks it, right? But it's a small sample size because we didn't have a whole lot of draft picks, right?
Well, sorry,
Now,
3 out of 5, and then a special teamer. So yeah, primarily offense.
Yeah. So yeah, getting back to the thought is, he really hasn't had much time to put in what he's got. He's got to hit that bargain rack. He's got to go look out there. Who was available at that time? Who really was available? So I give him a little bit of leeway. I mean, he hasn't got Justin Fields didn't get killed. He's still walking upright. Hopefully Caleb will too, knock on wood.
Brandon, can I ask you a question?
I do think this offensive line does look a lot better than it did 3 years ago, bro. I'm not going to lie.
So
you just got to stay healthy.
You've been pretty analytical over offensive linemen, and you play the position. Like I said, I always like to hear the stories you tell me. Do you think, I know he had the ACL tear and he just had the surgery. Do you think Connor Williams is somebody the Bears, do you think they wait till maybe we get a physical, or do you think that's something they consider?
I don't know what's going on with that, because to me, like for you, for Adam, for me, and other guys that I know, I think Nomads mentioned it. Like it is obvious to us, like go get it, go get it. It was funny because Adam knew right away that stat that you threw at him, and it's not a pretty stat at all. So, but he did say he was middle of the road center, so that's how bad centers are in the NFL, I guess, right?
Oh, no, Coleman Shell. I mean the guy from Miami who tore his ACL, Connor Williams. He's a free agent. Yeah, ranked top. I think he was ranked top 8 at the position, but.
Oh, I love that guy. I think it'd be great.
Do you think
when he stepped in for Pouncey, right? Pouncey over in Miami, he did a great job. I love him, dude. I think he's a good, solid guy. You just got to stay healthy. I don't know much about the knee injury. Thank God, knock on wood, I haven't had that issue. And I don't know what that would look like at the center position, because it seems like you got to bow down a little bit more than the other boys and really get down in there. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, man. It makes sense to us, but why doesn't it make sense to them?
Yeah, maybe they're looking to hold off on giving anybody money that's not going to, is not going to play for you for the first 8 weeks of the year.
Yeah. Let's see what the chat's all about, because it's been a minute before we talk to them. Poles felt Taylor was necessary addition. Oh, they're still talking about the punter. V-Dog, I get where you're coming from, Brandon, but our special teams unit was okay. We get a Taylor and a Swift. Okay, yeah, man. Touche. I like that, buddy. Good, well played. If we punt 3 times a game and the opponent is inside the 20 every time, that's worth the pick. I think that's fair. I just hope we're not punting 3 times a game. But I
Well,
see your logic.
and I want to say this to these guys. I don't dislike the player. It's important that I stress this more. I don't
Yeah,
dislike the player. It's
yeah,
where the player was selected, and you
yeah,
have to. A player is only worth as much as the pick you spent them on him, right? So like
yes,
you have to be aware. The Bears took a guy probably, like I said, probably thinking it was their last pick in the draft. It was somebody that Poles liked. It doesn't change the fact, and I'm sure Brandon, you'll agree with this, it doesn't change the fact that the punter you selected in the fourth round, while only having 4 picks at the time, was a reach. It doesn't. And you, like I said, this is a guy who you want to be on the field as little as possible. You don't want your punter on the field. You want to score
I want to.
touchdowns.
I want a question right now for the chat. Who is the punter? If you didn't get this punter, who is the next punter in the draft that we wanted? I want that in like 7 seconds because we don't have time for you to sit back and Google this because I'm telling you right now, this guy might not even have been available in the damn draft. He might have been available in the draft, but nobody would have took the damn guy, okay? He might have been available in the undrafted free agents or
Yeah,
something.
you got to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Who was the other punter drafted in the draft and where did he go? Wise guys. I mean, it's the thing about it is though, is that we love this guy. We're not disagreeing that he is not a great punter. And yes, kick it 3 times, 20-yard line. Love it. Great idea, Smitty Q. It's great. I understand it. I appreciate it. I value your opinion. It matters. But to the point of 4th round, no, that's all we're saying. Seventh at best, and then undrafted free agent. I'm sorry. I think we can
Better
get
yet, Google this for us, chat. How many punters in the last decade have been taken in the fourth round or higher? Google that for us. Fourth round or
sorry.
higher, how many punters have been taken? And that'll just kind of tell you where that position falls in regards to priority in the draft. And that's what's important is not the player himself, but where you took him. That's how the draft works, right? I mean, plenty of teams get good players late in the draft, but how many teams have taken bad players too early, and that's what I'm trying to stress is whether or not, regardless of how you feel about the guy. So I want to ask the chat not how you feel about Tory Taylor. He's probably a good player. He'll probably be a good player for the Bears. How do you feel? Where do you prioritize? The Bears were picking in the fourth round with 4 picks. Where do you prioritize punter versus center and edge and safety and the other positions that they needed?
Yeah. There's a lot of holes. There's a lot of needs, a lot of holes. I agree. And I to right now, it's just flabbergasting me to no end that we are spending this much damn time on a punter. And I wish we had the personality that Caleb did because he laughs it off so well. He did such a good job as a teammate and just a person in general of football, man. You know, like I'm going to do a good job and you're going to get a free check. So enjoy, get your popcorn, you know? So that's what I took out of it. And he might not have said that at all, but that was my take. Okay. So round 5, pick 144, Buffalo to Chicago. We get Edge Austin Booker, Kansas. Go ahead, bro. I know you're elated. This was a guy that, you know, we had a couple mock drafts and you always looked for him. And I know you were very happy when we got this guy. So go ahead and unpack this for us, man.
Well, I like the pick. I like the pick because again, and this can kind of relate to what I was saying about the punter taken in fourth. Is like this is a position of need. The Bears needed edge, and he was the best player at the position listed on the board. He is undersized for a 4.3. He's I think he's about 240, and you know that's not a guy you want playing defensive end on a 4.3. But he's super athletic, which means he has the ability to add weight and still be impactful But my concern with Booker is that he only started one game in college. You know, he wasn't a starting player on the roster, and he didn't. His combine didn't go as well as expected. I think that's why he fell. But he showed, you know, and the bear. Like, this is the fan base that's, you know, we've been so high on flashes. When all the guys wanted Justin Fields, and you asked them why, it was, oh, he flashes. There was flashes. Well, the kid flashed really, really tremendous talent. Like I said, for being, you know, I think what 6'4", 240. I don't know what he is, but I think that's the size. But he's got a really, really, really good burst. I mean, he's got a really good initial push off the line. I saw him. I watched some tape and I saw him pushing back 300-pound tackles off the snap, just pure
Wow.
power. And he's really hard. So Brandon, I'm going to read you this because I know you played offensive tackle, but um, his length is one of his greatest assets. But then again, it says, and I quote, his length makes it tough for offensive linemen to get into his frame. So I know he beats a lot of guys with his hands, a lot of guys with quickness. And I think if you could add some weight to somebody like that, you're drafting potential here. Let's be honest, you're drafting a ceiling. But when you have the defensive line whisperer, whom they who's what he's referred to as Eric Washington, who they hired a defensive coordinator, why not take a guy who's developmental this late in the draft in the 5th round? Why not take a guy whose ceiling is potentially higher than a lot of guys that were still left on the board? There might have been players that fit the scheme who were a little bigger than him where the Bears drafted him. But I like the idea of attacking somebody's potential, attacking somebody's ceiling, because you have a coach who's really well known for getting the most out of a guy and developing players. So why not? I don't know. Like I don't. The Bears need an edge, and I don't think. And I've said this to you guys before, and I'm going to keep stressing it. Walker's production when he was expected to play after Yannick's injury, when Walker was expected to play every down, he wasn't. Even after they acquired Sweat, you would thought production would improve, but he really didn't. He's a guy who cannot be on the field every snap. He needs somebody to. You know, he doesn't have that motor. He needs somebody to spell him. Booker is a guy to me he's got to play. We know that the Bears are hurting at the position, so Booker's going to play. If he can add 10 pounds by the time, you know, like early start of the season, maybe even mid-season, if he can add 10 pounds, I do believe it's a guy who can use that power to get to. He's a quick finesse guy, but I do believe if he adds weight, he can add power to one of his tools in his arsenal. So I do like to pick only because, you know, not so much like I said, I love the ceiling. I do. I think he's a guy who's, if he becomes who he can be, if he works really hard, he'll be a good player. But the position needed to be addressed. There is no way you could move forward with Walker being on the field, you know, close to 100% of the game. It just wasn't going to work. It didn't work.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think it was important to get him. We were really worried and nervous about this because Sweat goes down. What do you got? Not saying that this guy is automatic starter and going to be like Sweat 2.0 or something, but you got to have something in there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, without Sweat, we were horrific at the pass rush, and it got a little better once Sweat got there, but it's still not. We still got to get a lot better when it in terms of, you know, the whole NFL. So so the Bears finally added that defensive player in there that with the explosiveness, athleticism, length, as you said,
Yeah.
and that pass rush talent. He had 9 sacks, 8 QB pressures, and 12 tackles for a loss. NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah said Booker could have been a late first round draft pick next year if he would have went back to school. So that's telling. It's going to take a little bit of time. He's definitely, you know, a project type guy, you know, but I think, you know, in time he could definitely, you know, be one of those guys that is very instrumental on this defensive line. Certainly seems like Chicago landed a potential steal with him in the fifth if he potentially goes back to school for 1 year and goes from fifth to first. So, and I don't know if that tells a lot about what edge looks like next year either. But again, developmental prospect who should see the field in a rotation at some point as a rookie and could also be a long-term starter. I give this a B plus. And Dustin, you better check your little comparison to Aldon Smith, dude, because this boy's got a long ways before he gets to the San Francisco 49er illustrious Aldon Smith, you know.
But Dustin made a good point. I think he was projected in most pre-draft rankings and by most mock drafts to be selected somewhere in the 80s, and he almost doubled his projection. So like the Bears really got a steal here. They really did. If he ends up living up to if he ends up achieving his ceiling, the Bears got a sleeper, and it's not going to be this year. You know, the guy's not going to explode onto this scene, but he was drafted well after his projection. And to me, as opposed to a punter in the fourth round, you kind of want to look for guys like those.
Michael, don't worry about the Lions getting Terry and Arnold. The Lions will always find ways to lion. So he'll end up in some high-speed race or something will happen. Tax evasion. I don't know. He'll figure a way to mess it up, you know. I wish the kid well, but he's got a Detroit Lion jersey on, man. Best of wishes. C'est la vie. Okay? Bow down. What if this kid comes in and has a Mark Anderson type season? That would be great. I mean, honestly, you know, when you talk to guys, you know, you talk to guys that have played with the Bears, they always talk about that rotation. Guys that, you know, like Izzy Odunze.
Hey, Brandon, I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Yeah, you're good.
Chatters.
Yeah, he was like a hyper, like, you know, like he could play outside, inside, whatever, right? So he really, you know, talking to Tommy, and you saw him lose weight and get, you know, sculpted and whatever. He had to do that because they shifted him over. They wanted to play edge a little bit more. But then, you know, he's like a tweener. So then he'd play inside, whatever. I could really see this guy coming in and doing something like that. Absolutely. That'd be great to have him as an edge. I don't think he could bulk up that much, but just because of his frame. But I think he needs a little bit more than what Brandon says. He's not far off. I would put 25 pounds on, maybe even 30. But I think that's what this kid needs, man. I'm looking at him right now, a picture of him, and he looks super thin to be coming in like that. But, you know, coming in hot. But he definitely I'm starting to like this kid a little bit more. Like I said, fifth round, you know. Don't want to beat it up too much. Definitely not as much as that punter. I've never spent this much time in my life talking about a punter ever. But, pretty crazy. We had that punter on. Gosh dang it! Why am I drawing a blank? Old age, getting older. The punter for the '85 Bears. He was on with us, and he's down there in Texas. Great dude, man. Great conversation with him. Super cool dude. But had some good talks with him. So yeah. Anyways, what does B-Dog say? Matt will love Booker. Brandon, I view his comp as Shaq Leonard when Fluss was with him. What are y'all thoughts? Okay, Shaq Leonard. Okay. Yeah, I could see Shaq Leonard. Again, you know, there's a lot of pieces on that Colts line in order to make Shaq do what he did. So, but yeah, I could see that comparison, especially with the length. So
I don't
definitely for sure.
I don't think though that I don't think the Bears have any intention of playing Booker and linebacker. I think that he will play from the end. That's where he primarily played in college. And I know he's a little undersized, but I think the Bears have already discussed putting weight on the kid. I don't think Shaq Leonard, if he ended up being like Shaq Leonard, that'd be fantastic. But I don't think he's going to play linebacker. I think he's going to play on the end. I think the Bears are pretty set at linebacker. I don't think that was a position they ever considered even drafting. You know, they really run two linebacker set with Kyler Gordon.
Buford, Maury Buford. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's him, Murray Buford.
Kyler Gordon kind of plays that third. Every once in the run plays, you see Jack Sanborn, but T.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, those are the linebackers. Those are the guys that will be on the field unless there's an injury. They're going to continue to be on the field. So I do see Booker lining up on the end of the line. I think he just needs a little bit of weight. But like I said, man, if you guys go back and all Bears fans, I implore you, I encourage you to go watch this kid's highlights. He has a lot of strength. He has the ability to push offensive tackles back. I even saw him flatten a couple of guys in some of his highlights. So it's not like, even though he's a little undersized, it's not like the guy is weak by any means. He does use a little more speed and finesse, and he gets inside tackles a little bit. I think that was kind of his specialty. But don't don't be surprised if you see this kid pushing people back.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I like the fact that you're a little guy that's pushing 300 pounders back. I mean, and there's a difference between a 300-pound college kid and a 300-pound NFL lineman. So we'll see how that translates. But it definitely sounds like the arrow is pointing up. Round 6, pick 184 to Miami. Offensive lineman Dan Feeney. I mean, what's there to say about the mullet kid? I mean, he was forgettable. He was
Yeah, very
forgettable.
very short tenure here on the Bears, and I think, to be honest, as reserved and like kind of poised as Justin Fields was, that was the only player on the Bears roster I saw him get upset with, visibly get upset with on camera, like on the field. So, yeah, not a whole lot to say about him, man. I know a lot of
Yeah,
people were, you know, these guys, these, and you've called it, you said it right, Brendan. These bargain guys, and I know he was a trade, not a signing, but these
yeah,
guys that you watch play on somebody else's, live on somebody else's bench for as long as they have, and then the Bears acquire them, and for some reason the Bears fan base kind of gets this like, oh, we got, we found our this, or like, there's a reason these guys played on the bench, man. You know,
Hey, Brandon, I'll let you unpack last night. What? Okay, I like what Munoz said. 6 rounders are usually not making teams. Go ahead and say what Ozzie said last night. You remember what he said about how the first rounders and all that leading up to like where you can't make any mistakes in training camp and all that. Do you remember how he unpacked that?
yeah. Well, I asked him, being a seventh rounder who had the impactful career that he had, how does he value pre-draft rankings? And he actually said to me, and I got maybe because I got caught in the smoking gun. He said to me, "Well, remember, I was drafted in the seventh round in a 12-round draft." I was like, "Damn!" I didn't think to look up how many rounds there were when he was
Yeah,
drafted. But yeah, he said, once you get past, once you're not one of these guys who, 1 through 4 rounds, 1 through 4 or 5. Once you're one of these later round guys, I mean, every day in and day out, you got to bust your ass and you got to make an impression on somebody to make sure you got a job. Every day you wake up, you don't know what's going to happen to you next. You know what I mean? You might be the first guy that's cut. You might end up being a Hall of Famer. So it's a lot. The one thing I will say, the good point that he made is guys like those have to work their tail off. They have to work their
yeah,
tail off in order to make an NFL roster. And that probably doesn't, hurt them. They got to work a little harder than the rest. So, yeah, he's
yeah. My drill sergeant used to say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and it's true, man, because you sometimes you take this B or C kid that struggles, stays up all night, reads them books, or this kid on the in the weight room just pushing hard because it doesn't come naturally to him, waiting for his breakout. You see that talent in the fourth quarter starts to get wore out, and that's when the hard work comes in, and this kid shines in the end and wins the team the ball game. And I totally get what he was saying about that, and that's to me, I get what Ozzie said. Doug Plank said the same thing. He was always looking over his shoulder, never knew when. And it's crazy to hear that because such a great player like Doug, the human missile, would even think of such a thing. But these guys were literally looking over their shoulder all the time. That team was that good. You never knew when you were going to get, sniped, but craziness. Yeah, Feeney, not much to say about it. he had one start and it was very forgettable, and that was when Lucas Patrick, went down when he got injured. It was basically a waste of a 6th-round pick. So moving on to the next one, round 7, pick 231 to New England. We had N'Keal Harry, the wide receiver. What do you say about this guy?
Wow. I mean, what else is there's N'Keal Harry? He was actually a 1st-round pick for the Patriots before they
Yes.
traded the Bears for a 7th-round pick, and I don't understand why he was selected in the 1st round when he was. I never saw the talent there. He was a real big-bodied guy. He had decent speed, not over the top speed, decent speed for the size that he was. But not even worth the 7th-round pick, man. I don't, I mean, like. It's funny. He had one big catch from Justin Fields. I think it was like a 40-yard pass. And they just kept showing his highlight over and over and over again. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell else do you got to show for this guy? And
Yeah.
the Patriots don't draft receivers well. So I don't care where he was selected. I don't call the Patriots up for anybody on that receiving core, man. I wouldn't do it this year. I don't think they drafted receiver well this year. They drafted, I think, like 3 of them, and I don't know that I like any of them. So, like, yeah, no, not a guy I would have traded a pick for. Not a guy I would have even signed in free agency. Just
Yeah.
when it comes to Keenan Allen was obviously a great acquisition, but prior to that, Chase Claypool, N'Keal Harry, these guys with big bodies, size isn't everything. You got to know how to play the game. He didn't know the X's and O's of foot. He didn't run routes well. He never bailed just for being a big body target who a young quarterback should be able to look to. He never bailed Fields out of anything. So
Yeah.
not a guy worth trading. I wouldn't have traded an 8th-round pick for N'Keal Harry.
Hey man, I mean, at the end of the day, you look at this draft and you take it all the way back to Harry Balls or whoever you want to call this guy, all the way through all these guys. At the end of the day, this is what we have to look forward to. This is our future, bearing down. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this, boys. This is great. This is crazy. Yes, everybody, solidarity. So I'm excited, man. Caleb, Odunze. I mean, after that, it doesn't matter. You could have got 2 punters and a kicker. I would have asked for Pulse to immediately be, drug tested and was like, what the hell,
I don't know. The Chicago fan base sounds like they might have been happy about it.
Dude, they are on fire. I've never seen like there's a lot of attention with it. We might as well just unpack and do a whole podcast about this punter. I mean, like literally, the chat was on fire tonight for this punter. Shout out to the punter.
Ugh.
Punters
I don't know if I
lives
could
matter.
stress this enough, guys, but you know what I mean?
No, but yeah, man, great draft. Excited, Caleb. You saw the video of us Thursday night. As soon as it hit, we are all up, giving each other high fives. The bar, the sports bar we were at, Bridges Scoreboard, was electric, man. Everybody was just on fire, man. It was really cool. It was a really cool experience. Watching it on TV, over there in Detroit and all that as it was taking place. Wow, really cool. And then Odunze, man. I mean, that's like seriously, like, let's be realistic. If we don't have both of these guys in a draft and we split this up, let's say Odunze comes next year and Caleb came this year. That's 2 drafts that we're excited about. We got both in one freaking draft, boys. Woo!
Yeah, when in Rome, take the best player on the board.
Yeah, even if it's a freaking punter. Oh man. Oh, so yeah. Hey, if you guys have any questions or comments, hit us in our inbox and we'll get back to you. Thanks again for joining us. Bridges Scoreboard, Serendipity Ice Cream Parlor. who else are we thinking of over
DC
here?
World of Wonders,
DC World of Wonders.
Worth
They get
Stadium Club,
Worth Stadium Club, man. All of them. Our
Budget
new one that
Cars,
we got, River Street
River
Tavern.
Street Tavern, yeah, Budget
Yep.
Cars. Thanks
Yep.
to all of them,
Thank you
guys.
guys for all being sponsors. We really appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you guys do. And you in the chat. Thank you guys for being our loyal listeners. We're approaching a really cool, monumental record. We set a record for ourselves, and every time you guys set another record, and we don't even know where this is going to go. It's going up, like for sure. We started off and we didn't know how many subscribers we were going to get, but you guys are growing by the numbers. You're talking to friends, getting our name out there. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. So just, we just want to thank you guys for sure. We appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, smash that notification bell. Leave a 5-star review. We really appreciate you guys. So have a good night, and keep fighting like Mongo with everything you got. Tri-town up and bear down.
Bear down, shut down.